moving ahead. There is a close proximity with the earthquake, and there is a close proximity earthquake. So earthquake will going to occur wherever you see the tectonic plates, they are moving. Whenever the stress builds, yes, at the edges, rocks will suddenly break and energy will. So here you can see in this particular diagram, whenever we have a convergent plate boundary movement, whenever we have a divergent plate boundary movement, rock going to move and plate will going to move. So along in the plate we have rocks, so rocks will also going to move. Similarly, we have this thing, Mantle convectional currents are operating. They will lead to the development of stress. Stress is there. Okay, and if this stress is beyond the limits, these rocks, so they will be what? Shaking. When we have a shaking, there will be a simple. Similarly, at the convergent plate boundary movement, we have what? These kind of plate tectonic activities. So the strain will be there, and this strain, if it is beyond the bearability of those rocks, will be earthquake. Okay. So irrespective of plate boundary movement, whether it is convergence, divergence, or transform or conservative plate boundary movement, in nutshell, I can say all these plate boundary movements we will have what earth. And the process is simple. Again, I am telling you, due to the Mantle currents, what will happen? Plates will go under the conveyor. In other words, what will happen? As a result of conveyor belt effect, stress will about form in terms of strain energy of the 0 to 100. When this strain will continue, and if it is beyond the bearable capacity of rock, yes, we okay. So this is about plate tectonics and the now as you know, we have already covered this particular aspect. So wherever we have a convergent plate boundary movement, when two plates are moving towards each other because of the movement of Mantle convection current, this way there will be collision, there will be subduction, more plate is forced under another, very strong earthquake. Convergence plate boundary movement, strong earthquake. And whenever we have a divergence plate boundary movement, when the plates are moving away from each other because of the currents, magma will going to rise. Yes, we will have what? Smaller set. So in convergent, we have a violent, we have catastrophic earthquake, whereas in divergent plate boundary movement, and yes, in the transform plate boundary movement, plates which are there, they actually move sideways, and as a result of this, we may have a frequent earthquake that they too are same as that of convergence boundary movement. And sometimes, for example, in the at the San Andreas fault in at that San Andreas fault USA, violent earthquake, one movie which has been filmed on particular San Andreas. So plate tectonics credibly justifies that how there could be an earthquake distribution, which earthquake will be more violent, which earthquake will be less violent, based on the interaction, based on the interaction of those plate bound plate, whether it is continental or whether it is oceanic. So at their edges will have a, as a result of interaction, will have a formation of what earth. And yes, in last session also discussed same. As a result of those Mantle convectional current, the stress buildup will be there in the. Hope you have a clarity on this. Again, and last time I'm telling, suppose we have a plate in this, then we might have some sort of fault. As you know, our crust, whether it is ocean crust, whether it is continental crust, that crust is comprised of some different set of rock, irrespective. Just consider this white one is basically the igneous rock. Consider this yellow one as metamorphic. Consider this one as sedimentary. And yes, consider that here we have some sort of mantle convection. Because of these mantle convection, because of these, there will be because of this mantle convectional current, what will happen? Stress will going to build. Stress will going to build in these rocks, and if this stress is beyond their strength, there will be earthquake. So when this stress is beyond its limitation, we will have what? Earthquake. So when the stress is actually being developed, when the stress is actually taking place in this way, because the mental convectional currents are working in this way, they will lead to the building up of stress in these rocks, blocks, our entire plate. And at any point when the energy beyond the strength of rocks, energy, yes, you can say fault will also going to be, yes. Along the fault margin, we can also have a releasing of seismic. Along with the fault margin, we can also have what release. So in this particular aspect, at any place, we could have what? Okay,